Hi everybody, Allison Cope here, and welcome to the Enchanted Spring YouTube Hop from Sweet November Stamps. Don't forget to check out all the details about our giveaway down below in the description. Let's get started. We're going to be using the Sweet Little Shallow stamp set featuring our cute little snail and the Shallow greeting. I have stamped him out 3 times and we're going to be doing a paper towel technique today, so I need 3 copies of our cute little snail. I've already labeled them and we're going to start with his face and body. So I'm going to put down a base color of a really light yellow and we're just going to spread it around. This helps dampen the paper and get it ready to accept all of the ink that we're going to add. I am going full force here into our darkest color. I'm going to kind of do a pattern around the base of his body there. We're going to add some shadowing underneath his antennae, along the bottom of his face and cheeks, and around his head. And you don't have to do the base color, but sometimes it makes it easier for blending. Okay, we're going a little bit lighter this time with our lighter brown. I like to use browns sometimes with my yellows to get that shadowed look. We're just blending out that edge, going over top of that darker marker. This just helps blend everything together. All right, we're going a little bit more golden this time, and quite often I go over those previous 2 layers. This just helps unify everything and blend everything together. We're putting in some cheeks, and we're going to do his entire body, and I'm not worried about those spots. We're going to take care of those later. We're going to go in with our second lightest color. Again, we're just blending it all together, going over top that previous color and building it so that we have our final light color. And here she goes, our lightest color. Again, I'm just using it to blend everything together. Now don't worry about his little hands there. We are going to do those along with the mushroom at a later time. And so don't worry that they're not colored. We're going to do his base of his body. We're going to do it in some light browns. Just taking my time getting it underneath that edge. And this is our darkest color. We're going to take in our medium tone, which is kind of a light beige. And we're going to blend over the entire thing, leaving just a little bit of an edge. And then we're going to take our lightest brown color here, and we're just going to blend out that edge. And we're not quite done with his body, but that's a good base coat. I didn't think there was enough shadowing, so I went in with my darkest brown marker again and just accentuated any area that I thought needed a little bit of a boost with that darker color. The dark colors make everything pop, so don't be afraid to use them. We're even going to do those cute little brows. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit more shadow to his brows. We're also going to go in and go over top of all those spots. Like I said, I wasn't worried about going over top those spots because I knew we were going to darken them up. So if you know ahead of time, sometimes tricks like that makes it way easier to color things. There we go. We got some spotty dotties on his body. And of course, he had to have some spotty dotties on his head too. So I took that darkest marker that we used kind of around the edge of him and gave him some spotty dotties on his forehead down towards his nose. Yay! And then we took that dark marker that we used on the spots and just put a boop of color in some of the spots in the center, just to add some interest. And there we go, a little bit more playing with shadows in around his eyes and his cheek there. And just making sure that bottom part of his body looks shadowed. Okay, when you're doing paper towel, because there's many layers, sometimes I like to do an undercoat of about the same color as you're going to do your other elements. You don't have to do this, and some people actually go in with dark colors like a really dark gray, and you'll understand why as we kind of go along here. All right, next is our shell, and we're going to use this image as our base, and you'll see and understand that in a few minutes here. Putting down our really light layer of our 20. We're going to go in with our darkest, again, to map out any of our shadowed areas. We're going to go around under his cheek there, underneath the base of the shell and then go around the cylindrical part here. Now I'm just trying to accentuate any of those shadows, and the shadows change according to where you are on the shell. So you kind of have to think about which part of the shell is going to be darker and be in more shadow. So I took my time and basically went over top all of the lines that Amy has drawn for us. So this made it really easy to accentuate these. Okay, we're going to go a little bit darker again. We're going to go right over top of the lines that we previously made, and we're starting to build more of those rounded shapes that this shell has. So we're going wherever you believe your shadows to be. So we're going underneath the circles, at the bottoms, and then on underneath the tops. It's so hard to explain. Okay, we're going in with a medium tone here. So we're blocking out even more color. Again, have an idea as to where your shadows are going to be. This is key to making it look like you have innies and outies on your shell. Okay, I'm going in just to add a little bit more deeper color. As you go over things blend and things are pushed into your paper. So you might have to go in and add your darks or deepen your darks. So don't be afraid to do that. We're going in with our R32 here again, just to darken everything up again. We want to make sure that you understand where the shadows are on this cute little shell. And this would be a great time to put in some little spotty dotties or some fun decorations on his shell, but I kept it simple. All right, onto our third level of our card here. We're going to do our cute little mushroom and include his little hands there too. We're going to start off with a really, really dark red and just lay that down along the edge there. This is kind of the next red up. This is almost the majority of my color, so a lot of this is going to be laid down here. I'm going to leave a little bit of a white edge as a bounced piece of light there. Okay, this is our mid-tone of red. Again, I've gone over the edge of that color to help blend the previous reds together. There we go. And again, this is going to be the majority of my red, and I decided to come back and just go around that little spot. This I intended to be my lightest, and it was a little bit too orange for me, so I did decide to go back with a different red, which is a little closer to the R29, and it made a little bit better of a color change. So there we go. All right, let's do the spotty dotties on our mushrooms. I kind of figured that these were going to be kind of a cute little soft brownish. We're just making some almost C marks or U marks on these spotty dotties. They're not meant to be raised per se, but we're just adding a little bit of color and texture to them. We're going to blend them out with a medium tone E marker here. There we go. Again, I'm going over top that darker color. This helps blend the two together. There we go. And I decided that was it. We're only using two colors. We're going to go on with the stem. We're going to lay down any area right now with this particular E marker to indicate shadow. We're going to go in with the exact same two markers that we did on our spotty dotties up above. And we're going to mimic anything there. We're going to do a little bit of blending with a lighter tone just because that stem's going to be in shadow. Okay, it is now time to cut our parts out of the paper. We have 3 parts. We are going to be using these stylus tools, which are going to help make our elements dimensional. So what we're doing is we're applying that ball end, and by pressing it fairly firmly, we can make the paper cupped. So I am basically tracing from the back the curves of that shell. So you can kind of see it through the paper. The ink has come through, and I'm kind of mimicking where that shell would be cupped and where there would be valleys. So it's really hard to show on camera, but in person, the shell actually looks dimensional. Okay, number 2 part, we're going to go in and he has to have some cute little cheeks. We're going to round out his head a little bit, go in and do those cheeks because they have to be super cute and plump. And we're going to go to his body now. The larger the stylus, the larger the cupping. So you kind of figure have to which stylus you're going to use. There's many different kinds. And I did color in the back of the antenna just in case because they're going to sit up off the card. We're going to do our final little details on our mushroom, our third piece. And there are those arms I talked about. And we're going to use the little stylus to make sure that his arms have dimension too. There we go. Again, it's really hard to see. We're going to use some very thick 3-dimensional glue for this. We're going to start by putting that second layer onto the base. Now this glue takes a fairly long time to dry, but it dries in a very 3-dimensional manner. So anywhere where you've had cupping to your image, that is going to stay dimensional because this glue is going to dry quite thick. It's like jelly. So I'm just going to carefully place this on the base. And again, with that cupping, with the stylus and the 3-dimensional glue, everything is going to pop. So it's not just going to be a flat image on your card. It's going to have some dimension, some texture, and it's going to look super cute. So again, last piece is our mushroom. And we're going to just add a good amount of our 3-dimensional elbow glue and use our tweezers to apply that just to the base. So there we go. So now we have a 3-dimensional layered little beautiful bee. Again, I didn't think there was enough glue in certain spots, so I just went in and added a little bit more. And thank goodness for tweezers. And there we go. So he is dimensional. It's really hard to see, and you have to let him dry. Okay, onto the base or the kind of background of our card. I've cut a very simple scalloped die. We're going to add some coloring with the airbrush. It's very, very easy to use. It's just one click and away we go. Just adding a very simple green background. We're going to add some very quick grass because our snail is going to be out and about. And I'm just using 3 colors of green, very simple brush strokes, and just having fun, making sure that they go every which way for a little bit of interest in the background because I want my snail to be the center of attention there. We're just going to blend out the bottom with the same 3 greens just to make everything look a little bit more blended on the bottom for his little walk in the grass. There we go. We're just going to blend it a little bit with our medium tone. And we have to put that cute little shallow sentiment on. We're going to just use a copper embossing powder. And it's just going to be really, really simple. And don't forget to dust it with your anti-static tool. We're going to use some Versamark ink and our copper detail embossing powder. Quick tap. Don't forget to close that bottle. And we're going to heat that with our heat tool. 1, 2, 3, super, super easy. I'm going to add a very cute little frame, bumped up with some 3-dimensional foam tape, like so. We're going to glue in our cute little fella, and there he is. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me today. Take a look at that. Isn't that cool? It's even better in person, and his little antennae stick out. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to check out the description box for all the details on our giveaway. Bye, guys.